Is there a world where Caitlin Clark should make a return if the Fever end up making the WNBA finals? And should the Fever consider that idea? We're going to get into that later. I want to first talk about this post here from Caitlin for three. Here are the league rules when it comes to a player's return during the playoffs. Once a team submits its playoff roster at the end of the regular season, it's essentially locked in for the postseason. The league's hardship and 7-day contract rules end when the regular season does. So a team cannot sign a replacement player or pick someone up off the street once the playoffs begin. The only flexibility they're going to have is if the team already has someone under contract but inactive, such as maternity leave, suspension, or the injury list, in which case that player can be activated to replace an injured player. Otherwise, the team simply has to play shorthanded because there's no mechanism to add new players during the playoffs without a rare league approved exception. So Caitlin Clark would fit within these rules. Now, the question remains, should they bring her back if they get past the Aces? It's hard to say yes because they've built this chemistry, but I don't blame them if they decide to bring her back. The only concern I have is the minutes. Should you play her more than 15 minutes a night, given her injury this year? Because what I don't want to happen is you aggravate the injury and then she's out next season, assuming we have a season. But if the injury gets worse or she injures another part of her body, then it's not worth it, in my opinion. You're also going to be facing the Minnesota Lynx, and they're playing at such a high level. I don't think the Fever are going to beat them without the best version of Caitlin Clark. So what you get a Caitlin Clark coming back at 70, 80%, and she's not at her best because she hasn't been playing. She doesn't have any rhythm. So you jump her into a pressurized situation. I'm not saying she can't meet that expectation, but that's a lot to put on her. And you're expecting Caitlin Clark to go out there and produce right away. And it's the WNBA finals. You have to be at your best at that point. And if you don't get enough reps in with the team you have around you, because chemistry does matter, and the Lynx have that right now. So if they meet up in the WNBA finals, if you're expecting this Fever team to win more than a game without Caitlin Clark, you're going to be disappointed, in my opinion, because the Lynx are that good. Because of chemistry, like you just can't dismiss that the Lynx have been to the finals last year. They're going to make another run at it this year, and they're out to win it now. They were so close, and I think they're going to get the job done. There's a lot of motivation there. And I'm not saying like the Fever can't compete, but if Caitlin Clark comes back and they get destroyed, what's the point, right? I don't know if you even take that chance. I think you have to really be careful with bringing Clark back. Look, they might prove me wrong. The Fever have been on this run of destiny. They might just go out there and shock everybody. It's highly unlikely that happens. I'm just being real with you guys. Look, I want this to be something where Clark comes back at the WNBA finals and she has a fantastic time and she balls out. But the likelihood of that happening is not good, right? So would it be great in some fantasy world where Clark comes back, she gives you like 15 points and 5 assists, and she knocks down a few threes, and she helps the Fever win a couple of games, and they somehow pull it out in 7 games against the Lynx. And yeah, it does go 7 this year. So if that happens, that would be awesome. But is that realistic? I don't think so. I think it's better to at least let this team play it out because you can expect them to fight. And also, they're going to have experience like Aaliyah Boston, Lexi Hall, and Kelsey Mitchell. Having this playoff run has been really good for their chemistry. And then you bring back Sophie Cunningham next year. You get another versatile wing or big man. That way you have more flexibility with who guards who. And, Dantas is not bad, but I still think they need to replace her. And then you go for the championship next year. And a fully healthy Caitlin Clark comes back for revenge. And she goes out there and puts out an MVP season. And the Fever have a great shot next year. No doubt about it. That might be a better scenario, in my opinion. But hey, you never know with this team. Looking at some of the reactions here, as this person says, there's no reason to bring her back. The team chemistry is on fire now and playing good team basketball. No reason to bring her back and mess everything up. And I do agree. Risky. I honestly wouldn't want to change the rhythm of the team right now. They are in a zone. Don't change anything. So yeah, I understand why the fans feel this way. As this person says, I want Caitlin to play, but throwing her out there without practice might not work so well. And that's the thing. You're going to throw her in a situation where you have to win games to win it all, right? And that's a lot of pressure and a lot you put on Caitlin Clark's back and on Stephanie White and on the team itself. They've been playing without her. They're used to having Clark out there. They have a certain system they're playing. And look, you can run in transition with her, but what if Clark gets tired after like 3 or 4 minutes and she can't really handle the pace because she hasn't been up to speed yet? That's my concern. So it'd be great to have her out there, but what does that even look like? And as the person says, she's not coming back and she shouldn't. This team believes they can win the championship. They did it for the Commissioner Cup already. They're also proving they can with 3 upset wins in a row when it matters most. I'm sorry, but the fever is rising again and the team is cooking. And look, I understand the belief. It's great to have, but at the end of the day, I don't see them beating the Lynx. And look, if I'm wrong, cool. If the Fever win the championship, it'll be an unbelievable story, but I have a hard time seeing that. So as you see here, I think with only 9 players, Ace are going to increase the pace on the Fever. Yeah, that probably will happen. If she can come back, she should be allowed. She can heal after the season 7-month layoff. That's the thing. Like, if they think they're not going to have a season next year, maybe you take that risk. Maybe you're like, you know what? Let's bring Clark back because we don't know if we're coming back next season and she can, rest until like August. I hope that doesn't happen, but a lockout is looking likely for this league. But yeah, it's just a tough situation because if the Fever win tonight, I don't think it's going to happen. But if they win tonight against the Aces, whew, there's going to be a lot of conversation about, well, maybe we should consider bringing Clark back. Maybe we should at least consider having her come off the bench. That would be the only scenario I'm looking at. I am not starting Caitlin Clark, especially with this groin injury, because you might make things worse. But if you come to the conclusion that you don't want to take this chance, you want her to be healthy as possible for next season, I'm all in for that decision. Because again, you're getting great playoff experience right now. You're on a Cinderella run. And even if you lose to the Aces or you lose to the Lynx, there's no shame. They have met the expectations, in my personal opinion. My prediction was the Fever just need to win a playoff round. Because again, when you're building a roster of young players like Boston, like Lexi Hall and Caitlin Clark, they need playoff experience. And everybody goes through the gauntlet of the playoffs where you have to go through playoff scars. You're going to lose. It's going to be hard. But as you build that chemistry together, you learn to go to war in the playoffs and you get better in these experiences. So I think it's a good thing what's happening with the adversity they're overcoming. And you have Clark return next year and they go on a great playoff run. Let's say they make the finals next year and they lose. It's not a bad thing. It happens in sports. We saw this with the Boston Celtics. They lost in 2022. They came back in 23, expected to make the finals. They lost to the Miami Heat in a tough 7-game battle. They came back from 3-0 down, lost. They retooled the roster. They came back and won the championship. It took 3 years to get there. But before that, Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum had multiple conference finals appearances. So they went through the gauntlet. They went through playoff scars. They lost. They battled, but they eventually got to the finish line. Same with the Denver Nuggets, where they lost in the bubble. They lost, I believe, it was before they lost the Blazers in the second round. They went through playoff adversity. Then they had injuries to Jamal Murray. Once he got healthy, the Nuggets made the NBA Finals and captured the championship. So every team who builds out a core roster has to go through the playoff process. You don't just win a championship overnight. That's not realistic. So as long as the Fever keep making these playoff appearances and getting the experience, they're breakthrough. But you have to be patient with the process and you have to see it through. I think it's been a great story. It's been a nice surprise to see this team at this stage. And if they make the WNBA finals and get swept by the Lynx or get destroyed, oh, well, the Lynx have been together for a very long time. They've got experience and they're a very good team. And there's no shame in resting Caitlin Clark and playing the long run because this team, I think, will only get better. And as long as Stephanie White implement Caitlin Clark's system into her system, they'd be very dangerous for years to come. Hope you guys enjoyed this video today. I'd love to hear your thoughts about the potential return of Caitlin Clark. Should the Fever pull the trigger if they make the WNBA finals or should they not? Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.